Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We're going to start in just 1 minute, but I have just put down in the chat box a link to our webinar on the 29th of April, which we're hosting with Blaine Barker, who is our Senior Webinar Program Manager. So do register for that because that will be great with loads of tips and how to build a webinar series. Okay, I think we're ready to get started, if that sounds all right. Cool, so hello. Thank you for joining us today for our follow-up clinic hours session around pivoting your in-person event to digital. My name is Kaylin and I work on the channel marketing team in EMEA, and I'm joined by my colleagues Krisha, also on the EMEA team, and Austin, who covers APAC and AMER. And we're also really excited to be joined by 4 of our solution partners, Cybert Media, Get Connected, Dragon Agile, and Column IT, who are going to share their experiences of hosting digital events later on in this call. So a few things before we get into it. This is being recorded. And if you do have any questions along the way for us, the channel marketing team, or for any of the other people sharing in this call, please do use the Q&A function at the bottom. And then we can collect those. So that'd be great. Cool. So since our last clinic hours session, we do know that remote working will continue for the next few months. So instead of postponing your in-person events, we are asking that you pivot to digital alternatives. This is a really great opportunity to engage and understand your customers' needs at a deeper level. So maybe conduct a webinar around a specific solution or host a demo so attendees can come away with very clear next steps on how to solve their pain points. So we're going to go over a few marketing do's and don'ts for your marketing messaging. So with lockdowns in place, we know that people are spending a lot more time online. So it's really important that our partners have a digital presence, including social, paid advertising, and email campaigns. We want your messaging to be positive and practical. So focus on how your solutions can help customers build resiliency and navigate the short-term and long-term impacts with success. With that in mind, and knowing that the crisis is on the top of mind for many business leaders, this is a good opportunity to revisit your company's value proposition. How can what your company offers increase productivity and help remote processes flow smoothly? How can Atlassian products and your offerings deliver a long-term solution for their business? Start building this into your value proposition and implement it into your website, social media, and email marketing. And then, unless it's absolutely relevant, we suggest you avoid explicitly referring to COVID-19. Instead, we suggest using dispersed teams or talk about remote work. Address the direct pain points of remote work, which you can help solve, rather than addressing something that is out of our hands. Cool, some more do's. Share some actionable information. So customers are really looking for experts right now to help them make business decisions. Share relevant information with a call to action, such as download an ebook about collaboration tools, rather than sharing generic news or information. Empower the customer with knowledge about Atlassian products and how they can help their business. So it's great that you can help organizations in your community thrive during this time, but don't overpromise, don't make claims you can't keep, or seek credit. Instead, share your insights about how to work remotely or offer virtual sessions where possible. So keep it positive, but also practical. And then lastly, extend this across your whole organization. So internally, marketing leadership should serve as the voice of the customer, championing initiatives that will truly serve your customer and community. Make sure that these guidelines are extended company-wide so that the customer stays at the heart of your business. Cool. I'm going to launch another poll about if you guys are planning to run digital advertising in the next 3 months. We're going to move on now to a few things to avoid. So some of these are quite clear, but we just want to make it explicit. Don't message from a place of fear. It will sow distrust, panic, and confusion, and could also damage your company's reputation. Do not use empathy inauthentically. Empathy should not be the starting point to start selling, which will come off as exploitive. Instead, provide actionable, practical solutions to customers' problems. And lastly, this ties in with all the points above, but this virus is not a marketing hook. The effect of the virus, such as difficulty working remotely or not having the right tools for effective collaboration, that's your customer's true pain point. So instead, address how you can solve those direct points with a strong value proposition. Cool. Last poll, I swear, is how you, our Atlassian solution partners, have been affected by this. Yeah, we'd love to help out and understand what you guys are going through. In our previous session, we went over more specifics around promotional tactics and timelines, which you can watch on YouTube, but we're going to give a really quick overview right now. So our first suggestion is digital ad campaigns. So run an advertising campaign on LinkedIn, for example, to generate new leads. So a good example is offering a free ebook, which you can download from the Partner Marketing Center. And they can receive that free ebook when they fill out the LinkedIn fill-in form. You can run the campaign for 4 to 6 weeks and do experiment with your targeting. So for example, rather than targeting job title, try targeting by skill, such as DevOps or incident management. Next, we suggest linking social syndication. So again, with people online for extended periods, it's very important that you have a social media presence. So link your accounts to social syndication in the Partner Marketing Center, and you can syndicate up to 23 posts per week across LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, covering topics like remote work, DevOps, Agile, and digital transformation. And if you don't know how to link it or how to activate some of the posts, feel free to get in touch with Kristia, Austin, or me. Cool. Thirdly, running email campaigns. Email is still king or queen. So promote your webinar 4 to 6 weeks in advance with some teaser slides or short videos, free downloads, or incentives. For example, you can incentivize your current customers to invite peers to your webinar for a chance to win a remote team lunch. This is also a really good time to reconnect with your current customers and really listen to their needs. Again, people are looking for experts right now to help them navigate this landscape. And then lastly, let us know. Inform your channel marketing specialists of your digital event 4 to 6 weeks in advance. That's the kind of sweet spot, so that we can promote it on the Atlassian Partner Events page and via social media. Yeah, great. So now we're going to pass it over to our partners, and you can glean some of their wisdom. I think, Austin, can you introduce the first partner?
Thanks, Caitlin. Yeah, this is Austin Birmingham, and I want to introduce everyone to a friend of mine, David Upadhyay from Column IT. David is the inside sales manager at Column, and I have a few questions that I want to ask him as Column has had a number of events that were impacted directly by COVID-19, and I feel like they've done a great job pivoting those events into live webinars. And so I wanted to ask David a couple of questions about his experiences, and hopefully we can all learn something from this. So welcome, David. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining us. So David, my first question for you is, how has Colin been able to put on these live webinars at no cost?
Good question. You and I keep talking about this, especially in these trying times, right? We all understand it's so difficult to meet the clients face to face. It's just very important to keep in touch with, not only clients, but also prospects. So these webinars have been a tremendous help. Now, in terms of Atlassian, I think I'm so grateful that Atlassian is providing such tremendous resources for us to be able to go ahead and schedule or put our webinars at literally no cost, right? And get all sort of helps that we can get and so forth. So it's been just tremendous, in terms of the details, especially is about, we have tremendous amount of resources on the PMC, as I'm sure everyone on this call knows about. And the second most important resource in my mind is Austin U, to help us through the landscape of resources to figure out what's the best way, what are the best practices, messaging, and so forth. And all these, just being a partner at no cost, is just a tremendous help.
Oh, well, that's great. I appreciate the compliment there too, David. Thank you. And thanks for being a great partner. One thing that's kind of interesting about your team, David, is that you've been able to put on these webinars and events with pretty limited support from your marketing team. How have you been able to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a bit of an interesting point as well, because as we keep talking quite a lot, right? We have been going through a lot of changes internally for last 6 to 9 months as an organization. And as you know, it's a great and tremendous marketing team that we've got, but it's size-wise, it's a bit of a smaller team to be able to support 7-8 different key solutions that we go to market with, right? And from that perspective, it's just been amazing that we are able to execute on some of those webinars or probably with very little involvement from our marketing team, because they are tied up with other key projects. One of them being our rebranding and remarketing strategy for 2020 and for next 3 years. So it's, they literally don't have much of time to focus on individual solution and so forth. But that's where, like I said earlier, having this ability to use the resources on PMC as well as set up the webinars and execute on them without much of a hassle is just a tremendous help.
Yeah, I think we've been using the features that the PMC offers to customize campaigns to help fit the needs of creating these webinar invites, and I think it's been a pretty easy lift for both of us in order to make these possible. So I've been really happy with the results there as well.
Yeah.
David, how's your company coping with canceling 2 large events just recently?
Oh my God, that was a big blow, to be honest. Both those events were, carefully planned, strategically timed, etc. as well. And unfortunately, we had to cancel literally after running a few campaigns and getting some people to also register, but right before about 2 or 3 weeks before the actual event date. So it was a big blow in my mind. However, like we all know, right, we are experiencing that in-person meeting is almost impossible, rather definitely impossible nowadays. So having this ability to convert them into a webinar and then keep going on them, in-person meetings also take a lot of time compared to the webinars and much more amount of resources. So executing on these webinars where people are able to jump on as per their schedule, as per their ability, also might be able to see the recorded webinar in the future, etc. That's just phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So canceling those events were definitely a blow, but it's definitely been softened to some great extent with the webinars.
Well, that's definitely a positive outlook, David. Just one last question for you. What would you say has been your biggest learning from the last few webinars you've put on?
I would say the biggest learning is persistence. I mean, I would say I personally should have planned a little better, right, in terms of doing regular webinars. I would love to keep doing every 2 months, if not, more frequently. So I guess my biggest learning is just keep at it and keep refining the messaging, keep going to market with the webinars, and keep utilizing those resources out there in the PMC, as well as take your help. So that's probably the best learning, that I'm looking forward to execute in coming days.
Oh, me as well. Thanks, David. Thank you so much for being on the webinar today and sharing your insights around how Column is doing business and continuing through these hard times. So thanks again for being on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Next, I'd like to introduce everyone to Irene He, who is the manager of Agile and DevOps solutions at Dragon Agile. And they've also been pivoting events into live webinars over the past couple of months. And I want to talk to Irene around some of her experiences in how they've been handling the situation. So Irene, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
Thank you, Austin, for having me here today.
No, the pleasure is ours. Thank you for being with us. Irene, I want to jump into a couple questions that we have for you. The first being, how have webinars become critical to Dragon Agile?
Yeah, definitely. So the webinar definitely will help our business name, get our business name out to a wider audience, not just limiting to our local companies that we know here. And it's also an important way to present our expertise and getting people to know our team better. And it helps us, hopefully, will generate leads at the end. And I can see that the people from, not just from Canada, and attendees from USA, even from Europe, they register for our event and attend our event. So I think it's very important for our small team, for our business. And of course, we also like to share our knowledge too. So I'm very glad with last webinar we ran, and we see that doubled registration, doubled attendees.
Wow, oh, that's fantastic. I think that's a great point you made about casting a wider net and finding people who wouldn't normally be able to attend an in-person event in the area. Irene, what have you done to make your webinars better? I know you just mentioned increasing the attendance and the registration. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Oh yes, so for this time, so we run webinars before, but for this time we did a slightly different. So we start announcing our webinar a little bit earlier, like even 2-3 months earlier. We just have like a one post, but then over the time we increase our marketing intensity through different kinds of means like Google ads, social media, more frequent using the Atlassian Shift marketing platform. So doing the campaign with related topics to ITSM, that's our last webinar. And then we definitely use emails and posting on user groups. So and also, Austin, you give a very good tips that we should remind people who register a day, like a day before, and hours before, and that really helps. because I think people, even they really want to attend a webinar, sometimes they may forget. So those reminders actually really works. And also the Atlassian, you help us to post our event on Atlassian website, the Facebook, and that I think that also make a really big difference. So and another tips I would say, in our webinar, we invite a guest speaker from our real customer. And I think that also helps to attract more audience, because people tend to like a real world customer stories, how they actually use Atlassian tools within their organization. And I think that also really helps with more attendees and the registrations.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Irene. That's all fantastic advice for everyone listening. My last question, Irene, is how are you still maintaining relationships with your local Atlassian community?
Yeah, so right now we cannot run those like in-person events, right? So we are planning actually. I'm also working with a local AC leader. We are planning to host a virtual event for the community here. So we'll help contribute some topics, to share with the community here. So that's in plan. I think the next one will be end of this month. So hopefully we are able to share some of our knowledge too.
Okay, thanks, Irene, and thank you from everyone here at Atlassian for being on the webinar today. We really appreciate these tips and the advice that you've given.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Well,
yeah, so up next we have Simone, who's the head of sales and marketing at Get Connected, an Atlassian partner based in Bologna. And yeah, they've been launching some great Facebook Kanban events. So I will let him take it away. I know you want to share your screen, is that right?
Yep.
Cool. That should.
Okay. Here we are. Share. It's freezed. Oh. Okay, so hi everyone, and thanks Kaylin, and thanks for that lesson for asking me to present this crazy idea that is coming a good event for us because it's something that brings us online in a different way. So just for give you just introduction. So those are the number that we have planned this year as a Get Connected as a partner with the Atlassian team. So we've planned to have 4 in-person events powered by DAS. So 1 each quarter in 4 different Italian cities. We have to plan to attend as a sponsor 6 events, and we also have 6 online promotion and 2 online webinar. We had online webinar in our history, but it's something that is not something that in our target and our market is something that is well seen to C-level. So in Italy, C-level and people that want to talk with are not attending on this kind of webinar, but we have it for making promotion and for creating stuff for us. So just for give you some number, those was our expected number. So 640 not meeting, but moment to get in touch with our customer. That is something that is allow us to keep the conversation going with our customer, our prospect. So moment that we want to talk with, 235 prospect, 10 in-person event and 8 online activities. After that, these guys comes and then is how changing our perspective for the year. So we switch from 640 to 100 for 235 prospect to 70 prospect, 0 per in-person event because we don't we hope, but if we are realistic to this year in Italy, we cannot have this kind of event. But we still have 8 online activities. Just for give you some numbers, we've planned to have for this event 35 qualified leads that become customer. So with this change, we will have only 10. So we've missed 25 customer potentially on this year. And this is the reaction that everyone has in the company. So wait. So in Italy, we have a lot of contact. We are Latin, so we are making customer at event most of the time. And this is something that changing, that having no event is something that will drop our business down. And this is the first reaction that we have. The second one is this. So I spend a lot of time with my remote team thinking about what we can change. And we got an ideas. I cannot tell you from who, but we have the idea to create the Kanban. So why Kanban? Kanban is an event that is not changing the activities that everyone is having on those days, because everyone switched to online and they are using web calls and Zoom and this kind of tools for being in contact with customer and colleagues. And so there's no more barrier for people to attend. Everyone has the tools and everyone is fine to join an online meeting. We plan to have event of 1 hour that we are making different argument, different speakers, different partner that will come and join us and present something. And then we have half an hour with a drink and we're talking each other, having question and answer and making the networking that is so important for us here in Italy. Learn, drink, relax at the end of the day, has in my George Clooney voice, what else? So it's the perfect scenario for everyone to end the day learning something, having also virtual contact with friends and with colleagues and with customer to learn something. And this is allow us to go ahead with lead gen activities, promoting the brand, services, partner, and also Atlassian tools. This is something that was, okay, we start trying to make this event. At the moment, the first event was just a Kanban where we open an online and where we invite people to talk with us with no slide, with no nothing, just for understand from the audience what they want to hear in this kind of event and what will be the argument that they want to learn in this Kanban. The second one we created inside the Kanban is one every week at Wednesday night from 6:30 to 7:30 or 8 until when people want to stay online. The second one was like open talk about teams. So why teams should be like a jazz band and a symphony orchestra. So one of our consultants make the comparison between jazz and symphonic orchestra. And then we have this talk that was on the human side of teamwork. There was no tools, but practice for having the team performance, to increase team performance and the health of the team. And then we invite everyone to join to Atlassian Summit that was in the Wednesday after. And then we have last Wednesday with Tempo. So remote work, seamless time tracking in times of remote work. So everyone is moved on remote, and why you have to should go ahead to track your time. So how we use Zoom as a platform. We already using Zoom, but we have upgraded to webinar plan that allow us to schedule events, to record and putting live in streaming on Facebook and Vimeo and YouTube too. And they also allow us to create different tracking for understand which is the most, which is the best audience and the best tool for promote the event. MailChimp for a mailing list to our attendee. And then we have created a new mailing list to the attendee of the Kanban, so we can split communication between our customer, our prospect, to the people that is attending the Kanban. We are also creating a community on Slack, so everyone that want to join the Kanban community on Slack could join. And then we use Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google Ads for promoting, presenting the event, and having the engagement. So some numbers. So we had the 5 Kanban, and we have also 8 Kanban planned and confirmed for the next week. So at the beginning, no one was able and want to attend as a presenter the Kanban. Now I have a lot of proposals from partners, from friends that want to present something to the audience. So this is nice because the people start recognizing the value of the Kanban. We had 240 unique contacts. So not only the people that is recurring, but unique. And we had 25 prospects in 5 events. So it's not something that is taking our prospect budget up. And then we have, as an average, 65 attendees at Kanban. So the 20% are internal, so people from the company and from the business unit, and 45 are external. So this is something that was born like a crazy idea for bring people to start talking together with a beer in hand, with beer on hand, like the Atlassian summit or every kind of Atlassian event. But this is something that we bring ahead on the next month also without the lockdown. But this is something that we really appreciate and show us that people want to attend also online event. So thank you. I leave my share. That's it.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. Thanks you for having me and making the opportunity to present.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, Krishna's gonna introduce the next partner.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Martin Seibert, CEO of Seibert Media and one of our Platinum Solution partners in the DACH region. That's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, for anyone who doesn't know that. His kick-ass software rock and roll team has been executing some of the most successful virtual events in the EMEA region. And Martin is here today to share insights and learnings on their recent pivot from in-person event to digital, which garnered a whopping 172 participants within a 3-day turnaround time to prep, promote, and broadcast. So with that, welcome and take it away, Martin.
Hi there. Thanks for the opportunity to present. Let me share my screen as well as soon as I can. That should work right now. So with a little luck, you can see my screen right now. It should be a Google Doc.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Zoom is blocking. This is how I get the bar somewhere else. I couldn't change the tabs. Let me start here. This is the page that we had as an event page, and it's called Atlassian Enterprise Club. And it's an event that we've been running for probably 4 or 5 years. It's a very small event. We have a cap at 100 people. So, but we only invite our biggest customers. We had 90 people signed up for the 19th of March. I'm sorry, this is a German page, so it may not be suitable for all of you in your audience. But what you can get is, what you should get is, it's a very important event for us. It's around our flagship product called Linchpin Intranet. And this is an app for Atlassian Confluence. So basically, we run 2 of these Atlassian Enterprise Clubs per year, one for Jira, one for Confluence. This is the Confluence one. And as Linchpin is so important, it's called Atlassian Enterprise Club Linchpin. But it's all things around Confluence. And we had, I think, 92 people registered for the event. So we were kind of maxed out of our 100 people cap. And that may not sound too much, but those 90 people are like, they represent probably 60%, or that's too much, but like a lot of our revenue that we've done in the last years. A linchpin project is something between 50K and 2.5 million K per year. So it tumbled. When COVID-19 struck, we saw a lot of people canceling because they couldn't travel anymore. And then on the Friday of the week before the event, like the event was on Thursday, the last speaker canceled. So first, Robert Panholzer from Atlassian, he wasn't allowed to travel anymore, so he had to cancel. Then a customer who wanted to speak canceled. And then this other customer canceled, and we said, okay, I said we had to call it off, but we then decided to pivot to a remote event because it's very important for us. And that turned out to be very exhaustive, I had like 15, 16-hour days before that, but it was very successful. Instead of the 90 people, we had 172 participating. Some people created a log of how we pivoted the event. It's German. We'll share the link I learned from Kaylin. So you can use Google Translate and it's working out okay. And it's a 24-page log of what we did and how we prepared that. So if you really want to dive into that, this would be my recommendation for the people who want to have all the details. There's also a blog post in English from a colleague of mine who we didn't use Zoom or GoToWebinar, which are probably very well-established technologies for hosting webinars, but we were using only Atlassian and Google technology. We're a Google partner, so that suited us well in our opinion, because we thought, okay, if we're doing this, we want to use our technology and show our customers that we can use our technology to collaborate remotely. And the special thing about this remote event was that we were setting up a open space session. I don't know whether any of you has ever attended an open space conference, but in the beginning, you don't know what the agenda is going to look like. So people had to chime in and be active and propose their own ideas and topics. And this is how this looked in the end. We had a voting. We used Mentimeter. I know you can do all of this within Zoom, but we were using our own technology. So people were voting. And then those were the topics that came up. And all of these topics were from partners and from our customers who then hosted them. We had people who would do the notes. And so this content here was created on the fly and was available for everyone in our extranet later. And then we had someone who gave the idea and someone who would do the moderation and MC and so on. And those were like split sessions then in Google Meet. So we had 4 at the same time, and I think 3 sessions for 24 minutes. And a whopping, I think 105 people were actively engaging and participating in those discussion rounds. Like a very similar situation that Get Connected we're talking about, when people would really be able to talk. There was, I think, a high energy experience for our customers, and also very cool for us. For us, this was an awesome event, not only because we had a lot of reach, but also we got a lot of content, which you can see here as YouTube videos. So we kind of like, we streamed for 7 hours, and then we cut the talks and the elements and used them for social media marketing. Some of those videos performed pretty well. We could use them for blog posts later. And I don't know whether I should recommend this from a work intensity perspective, but from a marketing perspective, this was really helpful, and it's still working. I can attribute at least 2 projects, both in the 6-digit area, that came from this event. So this is like created and delivered, or we got the order within the COVID-19 period, which is pretty cool, in my opinion, because it shows that you can win new business during these kind of daunting times. Let me see whether I missed anything. So we did have a YouTube live stream. So you could watch it as a couch potato and just see, and then Adil and I would be sitting there and going into the open space sessions, listening, come back into the studio, comment on that, and try to be something like a TV show for people. We can't do this every month because it's so much work. But for this important event, that was really cool for us. And I would recommend you to sparkle in interactive elements into your digital events.
Awesome. I know we only have 4 minutes left, but I have one question, because I know it was a 3-day turnaround from pivoting from in-person to digital. So what was like the first thing that you did, like after you made that decision? What was the first thing you did?
I think the actual pivot was, I told people, okay, now the last external speaker canceled the event. So we're going to call the whole event off. That was my call. And then my brother came, who founded the company with me together, and he doesn't do any marketing ever. He's not into marketing. And he said, oh, I'm not allowing this virus to kind of get us into a downward spiral of grief and fear. So we should do this event, and I'm going to help make it come true. And he's a lot of he's the agile mastermind in our company, while I'm only the hot air producer. And so he had the idea of the remote open space event, which we never did before. It was a complete experiment. We didn't know whether anyone would join, whether anyone would pitch any ideas. And so that was kind of the pivoting moment when my brother said, I'm gonna organize this. I said, okay, if he in 24 years for the first time does marketing, I'm gonna do all I can to help and support him.
Cool. That's awesome. Like, it is nothing but experimental, and like it clearly paid off. So congrats to your team. We don't have any questions, but if anyone has anything last minute, now's your moment. Otherwise, I think we can go to the next slide. Just quickly, we want to let you all know about a webinar on the 29th of April, which is to learn tips and best practices on webinar engagement from Atlassian's Senior Web Program Manager, Blaine Barker. I think she ran something like 150 webinars last year, so she is indeed an expert. So that will be a great resource. It's all the way at the top of the chat if you want to register for that. Otherwise, I don't see any questions, but we'll send some follow-up links in an email. And thank you so much for our partners for joining. We got a variety of different events and insights and ideas, so I thought it was really useful, and I hope everyone else does. So thanks for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.